Good morning. How the devil are you doing this fine day? I hope you're all fit and well. Now, regular viewers will know that normally at this time I have a bit of a chat to lead us slowly into the latest episode. But something came across my desk first thing this morning, and it is so stupid and so out of step with reality that I just had to share it. Anyone that's ever watched any of these shows will know that the use and abuse of drugs and alcohol on UK demolition construction sites is a key concern. In fact, I'd go so far as to say it is our biggest single concern. Despite this, and despite the best efforts of the Scottish Plant Owners Association, it's a discussion that just refuses to gain traction in the corridors of power. Everyone from the Construction Leadership Council to the Health and Safety Executive will have us believe that it is someone else's problem. The providers of the various card schemes flatly refuse to put penalty points on cards. And all the while, men and women are turning up for work drunk, high, or both, placing themselves, their colleagues, and the general public in danger. So, rather than addressing the drugs and alcohol problem among those driving potentially deadly heavy equipment, Build UK has shifted its focus. According to a report in Construction Inquirer this morning, construction staff could face breath tests the day after industry awards or corporate events. Now, I'm going to pause for a second just to let that sink in. Now, I realise that some industry awards do hand out trophies to machine operators and to site operatives as well, but by and large, most attendees at industry awards drive nothing more deadly than an iPhone or a laptop computer. And yet they will be given a breath test. Meanwhile, the guy driving a 50-ton excavator off his tits on Lord alone knows what cocktail of booze and drugs, he could just go on his merry way while the industry elite pat themselves on the back for having safeguarded the sector. This is like the police attempting to stamp out boy racers on the nation's roads by targeting the over 70s. All of which begs the question, are Build UK, the CLC, CPCS, CSCS, NPAWS, NOCN, the Health and Safety Executive, National Federation of Demolition Contractors, and all the other trade bodies actually sponsored by a distillery or by a weed farm? Please let me have your thoughts in the chat. Now, after completely forgetting to do our big giveaway yesterday, we are definitely doing it today. And that is what is, let me do it the right way around. That is what is up for grabs. It is a brand spanking new exclusive Kinshofer baseball cap. It's a new design, so not many people have got those. And it comes courtesy of our mate Ed Butler and the team at Auger Torque. So if you'd like to be in with a chance of winning that, all you need to do is to type the word Kinshofer into the chat. Now, I realise it's not the easiest word in the world to spell or to say, apparently. So I've put the correct spelling across the bottom of the screen there. If you would like to put Kinshofer in the chat, you will be in with a chance of winning just that. So yes, that's going to run across the bottom of the screen the entire show. So without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, which is a corker, and it's mine today. Just going to pry into your private lives. I'm going to post the question of the day and get this show very much on the road. It is Tuesday, the 27th of June. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, Liebherr's Big Beast becomes available for purchase. Unicontrol and another satisfied customer. It's sale time again at Ritchie Bros Maltby facility. And nostalgia aside, would you really want to work here? Plus, as I've already said, we have an exclusive. I need to get used to doing it this way around. An exclusive Kinshofer baseball cap up for grabs, courtesy of those fine folks over at Auger Torque. You can see what you need to do just rolling across the bottom of the screen there. Just type the word Kinshofer into the chat. We'll get to all of that in just a second. But first, let us peer back through the mists of time to see what was happening on this day in history. On this day in 1973, Live and Let Die opened in cinemas across the world. It was the 8th movie in the Bond franchise and the first to star Roger Moore in a title role. Coincidentally, in 1987, the 15th Bond movie, The Living Daylights, premiered in London, and it was the first to star Timothy Dalton in the title role. See? We are an education here at the show. In 1979, Muhammad Ali confirmed that his third retirement would be his last. It wasn't. And on this day in 2008, I was at the Glastonbury Festival watching The Verve, Crowded House, and Jay-Z, among many others. How I'd like to pop back there. Now, before we get into the real meat of the show, let me remind you of today's question of the day. Yeah, that's right. It's time to fess up, people. Aside from relatives and your dog, who was the first person you kissed and how old were you when this happened? I'm happy to share mine. Personally, I would have been about 11, and my first kiss was with a girl, a little blonde girl called Julie Harrington, who was maybe a year or two older than me, possibly even 3 years older than me. The kiss was entirely her idea and took me completely by surprise. But I can assure you I was ready for the second and the third. How about you? Let me know in the chat. We will come back to that at the end of the show, but please keep typing the word Kinshofer. I'm going to do it with this hand. I think it's easier. I'm going to type the word Kinshofer into the chat for your chance to win that fine specimen of a baseball cap. Now, let's crack on. I'm going to pause very quickly to head over to the chat where Tristan Mays from cranehub.net just said, "Good morning, you legends." I think he's clearly talking about the audience and not about me, but good morning, Tris. Hope you're fit and well, my friend. If anybody would like to know all things crane related, unless it's Chinese, all things crane related, head on over to cranehub.net. I'm sure Tristan will welcome you with open arms. And we start with some big news about a very big machine, which, funnily enough, I actually toured with Tristan Mays. Weird how these things come about. Those of you that went to Bauma last year, or those that saw our coverage of the show, will recall that the prototype Liebherr R930 mining excavator was one of the biggest attractions of the show. Well, that machine is a prototype no longer. As you're about to hear, you can actually go out and buy one if you're that way inclined. Liebherr Mining has announced that the latest addition to its excavator lineup, the R9300 Generation A, is now available for sale. The machine was showcased to a global audience at the 2022 Bauma exhibition in Munich and is now poised to replace the highly successful R9250 in the 250-ton class. To validate the capabilities of the R9300, a machine has been operated at a mine in Indonesia since September 20th, 22, digging overburden and loading 100 and 130-ton trucks. During that validation process, the Liebherr R9300 achieved an average cycle time of just 26 seconds, equivalent to a staggering 3,017 tons per hour. The R9300 comes standard with Liebherr Power Efficiency, a proprietary engine and hydraulics management system designed to optimize fuel consumption while maintaining optimal productivity and performance. An electric drive version of the R9300 is currently in development and will be available in the near future, further exemplifying Liebherr Mining's commitment to sustainable solutions. Serial production of the R9300 is slated to commence in 2024, with the backhoe configuration available from Q1 and the face shovel configuration from Q2. Yeah, I've seen that beauty right up close, trust me. That will make a very fine addition to the mining equipment fleet of just about anyone in the world. I'm going to say a couple of quick good mornings. Yeah, Glenn Johnston's just joined us. Morning, Glenn. And also Lee Upton over at Upton Demolition is watching as well. They arrived, and Chris Folder's just joined us as well. So, gentlemen who have just joined us, this is up for grabs. That is the brand spanking new limited edition-ish Kinshofer baseball cap, and it's up for grabs. You see in the bluey purpley band across the bottom. That tells you what you need to do. Type the word Kinshofer into the chat and you'll be in with a chance to win said hat. I'd like to give it away before the end of the show. So type away Kinshofer, Kinshofer. Had to think about that a bit. Right, one of these. We're heading back to plant works again now, and this time we're going to talk tech. Now, under normal circumstances, a manufacturer will stand there and extol the virtues of their product or system themselves. But you know when a company has real faith in their product, when they get a customer to speak in their place. Well, that is precisely what Unicontrol did for us. Take a look at this.
My name's Patrick Quinn, and I'm the owner of P. Quinn Construction Limited. I purchased 2 Unicontrols, one last year and one earlier this year, both fitted for a 16-tonner and a 13-tonner, high touches, both with Encons as well. The reason why I went with Unicontrol is the pure fact of how easy it is to use. So we've got a few shapers, operators, and for me to train my guys up in the cab, it's a real simple way of using GPS machine control. So we do golf course construction. So basically we'll have an architect, he'll give us plans, and we will put them plans in the Unicontrol system. We can get precision shaping on all the golf course work, probably 15-20 mil. So when the architect comes out, his drawings that he's drew are exactly on the golf course the way he wants them. We get it right first time, and then it's up to the architect then whether he makes any changes or not after his design. So if we just follow his design to the plan, so you should buy Unicontrol. Yet again, I'll go back to how easy it is to train up the guys that you've got to use Unicontrol. It took a couple of hours to get them trained up, and off they went. So it takes a bit of pressure off me. Also, the cost. They're a top product and they're doing it for a decent price kind of thing. So the money factor, that comes into play as well. Yeah, and the support as well is basically Servitech. They're part of Unicontrol, and I ain't gonna lie, it's been within 10 minutes of answering the phone, they're on the phone if there's any issues or anything like that. The support is amazing. I can't fault it, to be fair, I really can't.
Yeah, I've now seen that Unicontrol system for myself a couple of times. I have to say, I'm very impressed. You can find out more by visiting unicontrol.io. Better yet, just click the link that I've just dropped in the chat. Let's go with one of these. I'm going to remind you very quickly, there is still a Kinshofer hat up for grabs. That's what it looks like. Kinshofer in the chat, as it says across the bottom of the screen there. As it stands at the moment, I think you have a 1 in 6 chance, or 1 in 7 chance. Somebody else has just entered a 1 in 7 chance of winning. So type Kinshofer into the chat for your chance to win now. If you're in the market for some high quality used equipment, then we have just the thing coming up for you right now. Those fine folks at Ritchie Bros will be throwing open both the virtual and the physical doors to their Maltby facility tomorrow as their latest sale gets underway. Our mate and a long-time friend of the show, Peter Haddock, has already been to see some of the kit that's up for grabs. Let's just say it was a flying visit. many thanks to Peter for sharing that film. Now, if you'd like to see what machines are going under the hammer tomorrow, then please head on over to rbauction.com. To save you the job of writing that down, there is actually a link in the chat as we speak.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Couple of very quick comments on the Maltby facility for Ritchie Brothers. There is Ken Hatcher saying, I've been there. Yep, so have I. Dan Cullen has also said, now that's an organised auction yard, 100%. And here is the pilot himself. Morning, Peter. I do love a flying visit to Ritchie Brothers UK site, Mark. Lots to see, and all of the lots can be viewed and bid on at rbauction.co.uk. Selling tomorrow online. There you have it. From the I don't want to call him a horse, but from the horse's mouth, there you are. You can go straight over to rbauction.co.uk and see what is up for grabs and possibly get a bid in while you're there. Now, this one I'm going to have to finagle a little bit, but bear with me. It's a big file. Mention a 30 RB dragline or any Ruston Bucyrus product, and men of a certain age will grow teary-eyed as they reminisce about the good old days. But just how good were the good old days? Was a day behind the levers just a little haven of peace and relaxation, or was it just bloody hard work? Well, before you decide, take a look at this. And as I say, I'm going to have to go and dig this out of the computer because it's quite a big file. Here we go. Now, I like a bit of nostalgia as much as the next guy, but give me a suspension seat, air conditioning, and Bluetooth connectivity any day. That looks like way too much like hard work. This is going to be your final call. I've just had something pretty serious come into the chat, actually, so I'm going to throw over to that in a second. But first of all, this is your final call. If you want to be in with a chance of winning that Kinshofer hat, which looks like that, nice bit of orange trim, Kinshofer on the back. If you'd like to be in with a chance of winning that, you have roughly 2 minutes to type the word Kinshofer into the chat, and you can see the spelling across the bottom. Now, I'm going to put up something from the chat. Enormous respect for Dan Cullen, who has actually sent it over, but bearing in mind this is a news channel, I cannot confirm the truth or the validity of what he's about to say. But just heard that the owner of Henry Construction has been targeted and injured, shot, and now in police protection in hiding. Obviously, there's been lots of talk about Henry Construction going down the tubes of late. I sincerely hope that proves to be unfounded. Thanks for sharing that, Dan. Obviously, as I say, that is completely unvalidated, unverified. But if that is the truth, then that is a very, very serious matter indeed. I'll be digging into that a little bit more in the day. Now, yes, we need to play something. Let's play one of these. I have no artsy lead-in today because my gripe of the day doesn't just get my goat, it gets all the goats. And that thing is deliberate mispronunciation. Now, I realise we all have accents, and I also realise that we all encounter a word every once in a while with which we're unfamiliar. So tripping over a word, thankfully, given what I do for a living, entirely forgivable. The thing that does my nut in, though, are those people that know how a word is spelled and how others say it, but then go out of their way to massacre the word. Like Americans with their aluminum. People that say arcs instead of ask. And I've got three examples from my personal life that drive me to absolute distraction. My best mate always insisted on saying salad instead of salad. There's no such word as salad. I told him repeatedly, and yet, year upon year upon year, salad. My father-in-law pronounces pizza as pizza. I actually once pointed out his mistake to him, and he said, I said, it's pronounced pizza, right? Like the rest of the world, pizza. And he said, yeah, I know. I just prefer saying pizza. Since when could we make up our own rules? And the latest one that has really got under my skin. There is a football player called Karim Benzema. He's a French Algerian, and up until very recently, he played for Real Madrid. He is incredibly famous. So you would think that we would all have grown accustomed now to saying Karim Benzema, not my daughter's other half. He can happily listen to a football commentator saying the name Benzema for 90 minutes, and yet he still insists on pronouncing it Benzema. Come on, people. These are just words. We can see how they're spelled, and we've all heard them said. Get a grip, will you? Now, anyway, that is my gripe of the day. Love to hear yours. Not getting much in the way of gripes from you people. I may have to abandon this before I run out of gripes. But what is it that grinds your gears, gets your goat, and generally butters your parsnips? The daily gripe session will return forthwith. It is time to find out who has won the Kinshofer baseball cap. Let me have a look. Make sure we are now. Don't want it like that. I want it like that. There we are. How many entries do we have? We have 7. So I'm pausing just to make sure that everybody has had a chance. And now I'm going to hit the draw button right about now. Mr. Glenn Johnston is now the proud owner of a Kinshofer baseball cap. Congratulations, Glenn. I know you've been a real regular here on the show over the last few months, so well deserved. Do me a favour, off air, let me have your postal address and I will get that over to you. And speaking of postal address, I owe Ken Hatcher a huge apology. Ken, I only became aware of this morning. Ken actually won a competition to win a Sunward hat about a week ago now. I wrapped it up, put his address on it, stuck it in the car. Car went in for a recall, and it's going to be there for 3 weeks. I've actually been in touch with the garage. I can pop down there at some point tomorrow and pick up the stuff that I've left in the boot. As far as I was concerned, they were having it for a couple of hours, and then I could have got to the post office. Kent, my apologies. Your son will be with you forthwith. And Glenn Johnston, as I say, let me know whereabouts you reside, and I will get that over to you. And there's Gary Muirhead saying, congratulations, Glenn. And that is echoed by Dan Cullen. I'm sure Danny's saying that through gritted teeth, because I'm sure he was really keen on getting him that Kinshofer hat himself. So, yes, that pretty much wraps things up. Yeah, I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying today. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. If you do have the time and the inclination, though, please stick around for the crack. It will begin immediately after this word from our key show sponsor. Good morning, team. How on earth are we? There's Glenn Johnston, our I almost said award winner. He's a prize winner. He's not an award winner. He may well be. I don't know. But Glenn, congratulations. Thank you very much indeed for taking part. I'll get that over to you just as soon as I can. Right, let's go back to the very beginning of the chat. Who was first off the mark this morning? I'm fairly sure it was Dan Cullen. Yeah, there we are. Morning. Is this your way of pronouncing? Given that I've just been talking about mispronunciation, are we going for morning now? I don't think we are. Mark Whiting's in the house. Mr. Whiting, how the devil are you this morning? Thank you very much indeed for being here. There is Gary Muirhead, as always. Good morning, Mark. Good morning, everybody. Yes, everybody on the show and everybody around the world. Good morning. Jim Turner says good morning. Morning, Jim. We'll come back to Jim in just a second. Who fancies a drag line or two, apparently. Who was next in the chat? Let's have a look. Thank you very much indeed for the reminder, Dan. It's Tuesday. Oh, and don't forget to put the cap on. Yeah, I know. For those of you that are just joining us, I actually should have had this up for grabs yesterday. Completely forgot. And it was literally at the last knockings of the show. I think it was Gary Muirhead reminded me that my addled brain had forgotten to do the competition. Such is life, but we've done it now. Jeff Pinion, Mr. Brock. Now, speaking of Brock, I have it on good authority from Mr. Pinion himself. There are some Brock goodies headed to Demolition News Towers literally as we speak. So look out for a Brock giveaway in the very near future. Jeff is a great supporter of the show, so many thanks indeed for that, Jeff. And good morning to you as well. Ken Hatcher is here as well. Looks like he's got a bit of cloud down in Welsh Wales. There is Peter Haddock. Can I tell you how busy Peter Haddock is? Can I tell you? Now, anybody that follows him over on Content with Media or over on LinkedIn will know that he turns out videos with a regularity that makes my head spin. He is basically in the office for the first time since a week before Clockworks. I don't know how he does it. I honestly don't know how he even wakes up in the morning and remembers where he is. Good morning, Peter. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, and thanks again for allowing us to share that RB Ritchie Brothers auction video as well. There's Dan Cullen entering the competition. There is Jeff Pinion entering, and Gary Muirhead as well. Unfortunately, gentlemen, you were pipped at the post. Now, I was reminiscing. Oh, there's Mark Whiting's entry as well. Unfortunately, missed out as well. I was reminiscing last night to myself. Who was the first person you kissed? So, where I used to live when I was living with my parents, because I was like 11, so you do. my father had, we lived in a flat, and there was below us, there was a garage where people could store their cars, like a garage. I don't know why I'm explaining garages to you. But leading to that, there was a flight of stairs, and then there was like a tunnel, and the tunnel was, us kids used to hang out in the tunnel because it was away from prying eyes. This is way, way, way before the advent of CCTV. And I was in there one afternoon with a bunch of people, I was just hanging out, and little blonde Julie Harrington decided that it was about time I received my first grown-up kiss. Julie Harrington. whatever happened to Julie Harrington? Hope she's fit and well. But yes, who was the first person you kissed? I'll be coming back to that, I think, in a bit. Now, we're talking about drugs and alcohol. Nobody dare attack the problem face on because they don't want to be the person or organisation that caused a construction crash, because we would have a depleted workforce within a week of the start of testing. And yet, Jim, I agree with you 100%. And yet, great swathes of the upper echelons of the industry were quite happy to vote for Brexit, which had largely the same effect. Bearing in mind, when there is an accident, there is generally a paper trail. So, I'm not going to go into the details because I can't remember which accident it was, but I know we reported on a fatal accident not too long ago, where a company, I know what it was a scrapyard up in Birmingham, where 2 years prior to the accident killed 5 men. Local people and other businesses nearby had stated their concern over the stability of a wall that was not in good condition. Sure enough, 2 years later, that wall collapsed, fell on 5 men, killed all of them. So there is a paper trail there. So what happens, God forbid, that somebody turns up for work in a dump truck or a wheel loader or an excavator or a dozer, off their tits, drives through, I don't know, a site canteen full of people, or veers off a road and kills a bunch of people, pedestrians or whatever it might be. And we then look at the paper trail. Does that paper trail begin and end with the site? My guess is it probably does. But what about beyond the site? What about the fact that, we've got people like Callum McIntosh up at the Scottish Plant Owners Association berating trade bodies and government. I mean, he's actually been to see ministers about this, berating them, saying that we need to do something about the presence of drugs and alcohol on site, and he is basically running into a brick wall everywhere. So the fact that there's no action being taken, there's no repercussions whatsoever. Nobody will be able to point at the CLC, Construction Leadership Council, Build UK, the NFDC, NPAWS, NOCAN, CSCS, CPCS, and all of these other organisations and say, you had a chance to rectify this situation. You had the opportunity to put in place legislation to prevent this from happening, and you chose not to do so. It will never happen. And unfortunately, I believe Jim Turner is absolutely right. There we are. There's Ken Hatcher's entry for the competition. It looks like Glenn Johnston may have actually been the last entry, which goes against... It's not tradition because it is a randomizer. That's why it's called a randomizer. But we've seen a lot of occasions where the first person to enter has actually walked away with the prize. Not today. It looks like it was the last person. Tristan Mays, Mr. Crane himself, is over at cranepub.net, and he says, "Good morning, you legends." I'll have you know, Tristan, if you're still here and paying attention, I actually featured a crane on yesterday's show, and I featured it because it was Chinese, and I didn't think you would. There you are. I'm picking up the scraps that you're leaving behind. Dan Cullen is going with a girl named Sue. Very, very discreet. Well done, Sue. Where's Sue these days? You didn't marry her by any chance, did you? There is Dan Cullen. I want that hat. Must be the only cap I didn't get at Plant Works. Yes, unfortunately. I did get 2, but I've now got, I think I've got 3 or quite possibly 4 different Kinshofer hats, and one of them is my personal favourite. You can't see, but I am surrounded by hats. But if I'm going out, I don't tend to wear this one. This tends to be studio wear. But if I'm going out, there's a black, almost all black Kinshofer hat. That's my go-to. My son, different. My son, when we're going fishing, steel wrist hat. Don't know why that is, just the way it is. But he does have a massive head, so maybe that's got something to do with it. Lee Upton is in the house. Upton Demolition is watching. Glad to hear it. Chris Ford is here. Morning, everyone, he says. That's where you can find Unicontrol, although I've called it Unicontrol. Don't know why. Chris Ford is having issues with predictive text. Kinshofer. What the fox's hat? Yes. Fox's Hat indeed. Yes, the facility at Maltby. I need to get back to Maltby at some point in the not too distant future. The last time I was there would have been pre-pandemic actually, and there was still, I think the demolition work was largely done, but certainly the new headquarters wasn't quite finished, and I've not been back since. So I need to get myself up there. Won't be able to do it this week because, frankly, got quite a bit on. Speaking of which, tomorrow, 7 p.m, we are going to be showing for the first time ever the world premiere of the Jumbo film that we've done with the fine folks at Despe, a 351-ton excavator working in Italy, exclusive to us. I do love a flying visit to Ritchie Bros, says Peter Hannock. Lots to see, and all the lots can be viewed and bid on rbauction.co.uk. Selling tomorrow online. May go and have a look. I'm not in the market, but I may go and have a look at that. Yes, we mentioned this earlier, and as I say, this is unverified. I'm just sharing what is in the chat. But just heard the owner of Henry Construction has been targeted, injured, shot, and is now in police protection in hiding. I sincerely hope it's not true, but I've heard whispers about Henry Construction probably 6 weeks ago, and about the fact that I was told, again unverified, that the main man at Henry Construction had put his house up for sale and various other bits and pieces. It looks like he was trying to salvage it at the last minute. If that turns out to be true, that is an absolutely terrible turn of events. Obviously, nobody likes to see businesses going out of business, particularly if they owe you money. But that's a step way too far. Now, I mentioned when I was showing that 30 RB that Jim Turner is potentially in the market, and there he is, a dragline or two. He's definitely on the way. Why would you want two? Well, I know why you want two, because you just like the whole plant, don't you? That's probably about the size of it. That dragline looks an amazing bit of kit, but would you want to drive one? Would you really? Plant Works have just been on, saying thanks, Peter and Mark, for your fabulous content of the show. I cannot speak for Mr. Haddock, but I will speak for myself. Pleasure was all mine. Stand around in the sunshine, meet up with some old friends, and point a camera at some diggers. Not a bad way to earn a living, is it? But thanks anyway. Tristan Mays, Mark, when are you going to come and join me with some crane content? I'll tell you what, I'll put a date in the diary. It won't be a date, I'll be a little less specific than that. I will come and do crane content the day after hell freezes over. Okay? Or maybe a bit before. Let's have a chat. Chris Hall, you never know your luck in a raffle. If it wasn't for bad luck, I wouldn't have any at all. Listen, I know the feeling. I do know the feeling. Have I ever told you my TV story? I'm going to do it very quickly because I'm heading off to do the final clearance of my parents' house because it's going to be sold. It's literally changing hands on Friday this week. I went to an event. It may well have been like a CPA event or the old CMPE event. I can't remember. It doesn't matter. Not important to the story. And there was an auction for not an auction. There was a raffle for a whole bunch of prizes. And the first prize that was won was, I think it was a holiday or a luxury break at some hotel or whatever it was. And the guy that won it went up and said, "No, put it back in or get somebody to bid for it." So, sure enough, they bid for it, raised a few £100. Everyone's happy. The second prize, can't remember what that was. The guy did exactly the same thing as well and said, put it back in, let's raise money for it. So the third prize that came out was a portable colour television, and I won it. And being the guy that I am, I sensed the mood in the room. I went up and I said, no, put it back in the auction, get it auctioned and let's raise some money. And the guy that was running it said, absolutely not. He said, we'll be here all bloody night if we start auctioning everything. Take the TV. And I said, no, put it back in. He said, take the TV. So half reluctantly, I took the TV and returned to my table. I reckon that evening there were another 12 prizes. Every single one of them went back into the auction. So I was the only person that actually claimed their prize. Made me look like a right Burke. Thank you for that, whoever you were. On a 300 Hyundai, and man, this thing is wrecked. Hey, don't knock things that are wrecked. Have you seen me? Have you seen the state of this? People, as I say, I do have duties to perform. I'm going to cut this short. Well, I say short, it's 3/4 of an hour. I'm off down to Worthing in about half an hour, and so that's me for the day. But I'm back tomorrow, not once but twice. Obviously, we've got our big reveal of the world premiere of the Jumbo film tomorrow night. A chance to win some more prizes. We've got a couple of Despe t-shirts to give away, which are very smart indeed. You can also get your hands on an exclusive mini ebook that I've written on the Jumbo and on the company and so on down the line. So join me for that. It's going to be a bit of a hit and miss, well, not a hit and miss, but a hit and run show on Friday as well. I need to finish here by about 10 to 11 or thereabouts, because I've then got to jump in the car and head on over to the new National Federation of Demolition Contractors new headquarters, which is being officially opened. They've been in it since January, but it's got its official opening on Friday, and I've been invited to attend. Lord alone knows why, but you know, I am trying to be supportive of the new president, so I shall be going over there to do that, and I will be trying to raise the subject of drugs and alcohol and the NFDC stance on it if I get the opportunity. And then next Wednesday, not tomorrow, but the Wednesday after, we are going to be talking all things Kobelco on another evening show, 7 p.m. on Wednesday, the 5th of July. Hope you can join us for that one. And in answer to my question, why would you have 2 drag lines? Jim Turner has a very sensible answer. If I had 2, I could use one as a yard crane and leave the other set up for digging. You can never have too many drag lines, I think, is the answer to that. Meant to ask Peter, actually. I'm sure Peter Haddock has probably gone back to work. Having been out of the office for the best part of a month, I would imagine he's got some paperwork to get through. But Peter, are there any drag lines in the sale up at Ritchie Bros? Be interested to know. Won't be hanging around to find out the answer, though, because, as I say, I do need to get out of here. So everybody, skedaddle, go have a fine and fantastic day. I'll be back here tomorrow, bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, 10 a.m. for the Breakfast Show, and again at 7 p.m. Slightly less bright-eyed, slightly less bushy-tailed, but very excited. I know that's something that we in this business say. I am excited to show you, but I really am. I really am excited to show you this. Not just because I'm very proud of what my son Fred has done with the film, but the machine, honestly. If you see a better machine this year, I was going to say I'll eat my hat, but then you'd see my bald head. I will take a forfeit of some description. If you see a better machine than the Jumbo anytime this year, I'll be astonished. So join us again tomorrow night if you can at 7 p.m. Till then, everybody, have a fantastic day. Glenn Johnson, don't forget to let me have your postal address so that I can get you your prize. Till then, everybody, have a great day. All the best.